this episode of That Kingsville Podcast, Councillor Sheri Lowrie and Executive Director of Jack Minor Migratory Bird Sanctuary, Matt Olewski, join us to talk about the 55th Annual Kingsville Migration Festival.
We're going to the birds.
Yeah, lots happening. October 17th to the 20th, 2024, for all you that are watching this well in the future and just really enthusiastic about Migration Festival.
Love migration.
We can talk a little bit about the Neighbourhood Charitable Alliance, some local accomplishments from Seng's, and
some jiu-jitsu prowess.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's some Toronto, but there's a lot of Detroit sports celebration going on here too. It's big time in the D right now. So all that and more on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. That Kingsville Podcast proudly brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. KingsvilleBrewery.com for all your beer needs. Hefeweizen, Czech Lager, Light A,
IPA.
IPA. Get some stout. You know, it's stout season. It's nice and warm and cozy when you get cuddled up with a nice tall glass of stout.
A little coffee in there.
Yeah, free delivery in Essex County. Go to KingsvilleBrewery.com. Order your brews from them. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast. Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. It's me, Dave, Kevin, Steve. Guys.
I'm Kevin.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. No, I'm Dave, Kevin, Steve. When I was a little kid, my mom said that I used to say my name so fast when I met people. They're like, is his name James? I'm like, no, his name is David. Because I usually, it's David James. She still tells the story all the time. Anyway, I'm Dave.
Kevin.
We're doing roll call 3 years in a row.
Not Kevin. My name is Kevin.
Anyway, lots of things happening in and around the area. We got to start with sports. All right. Sorry, we're going to talk about it for a couple of minutes because it is unreal. The amount of sports activity and excitement.
Honestly, God, I can't believe we're finally back for the Maple Leafs season. It's fantastic. They kick it off tonight.
Oh, you're
on their way to win the Stanley Cup this year. It's going to be great.
Pretty
good team. Good team. Stronger defense coming back.
Yeah, he's got to take his pluses. Little does he realize he's like right in the epicenter of like the resurgence of the city of Detroit. Three of the four teams are doing well when the Red Wings start the season.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, there's promise. There's promise.
There's some. I don't know. I'm not as optimistic as I have been in the past. I don't know.
Well, we can't have all four teams do well all the time.
No, but we know the Pistons aren't.
No.
Right? Like they're not there yet.
They might as well go to the G League.
And
they are the G League.
With the Wings, I don't think they've done enough compared to some of the teams around them.
I think they'll sneak in.
I hope you're right.
Sneak in with an 8th seed.
I'll take it.
Well, sneaking in is how the Tigers have kind of like rallied.
Yeah.
Like to go on, what was it, a 33-13 run the end of the season?
Well, if you don't count those last two losses to the White Sox, 33-11, because those two were meaningless. So
right.
Games that mattered, 33-11.
Insane. Yeah. And they have 13 rookies in their starting roster. Not random, just on the 50-man. No, starters.
And they showed some crazy stats. Like there's 18 players in the postseason that make more money than the entire Tigers roster. There's 60-some players in Major League Baseball that make more money than this entire roster. Obviously, this is counting the fact that Javi Baez is on the DL because I don't believe his whatever.
Yeah. Changed that.
List.
Yes.
He's on the list. He's unavailable.
Yeah.
He's got to be gone now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, he's back with the team.
No, but they'll cut his contract.
They have to.
Yeah. They'll
he can't eat up a roster spot.
No. Not after what this team has kind of banded together and been able to do.
Sure.
And the excitement around them consistently coming through in clutch moments it's unreal.
Back-to-back shutouts.
But not only that, it's like production when everything's stacked against them. They're finding ways to make runs and then win games.
Well, I think one of the interesting things is watching a team be managed.
Yes.
By a manager that's just doing it whatever way he wants, however he wants to do it at any given time, without any concerns about, and I'm speaking of my Jays now, any worries about analytics departments or general manager calls or offensive coordinators or any of that stuff that gets in the way of a manager having a plan and being able to execute a plan. Because I really believe, and the Tigers have some good players. They fit together really well. They have a great pitching staff, but the way AJ Hinch is using his team
and Chris Fetter.
Is
Chris Fetter's the pitching coach.
Completely, like, they're doing it completely different than the normal way that you would roll out a playoff team, and it's working.
Well, Kerry Carpenter had that huge home run yesterday. Mm-hmm. What did he do today? He pinch hit for him.
Yeah.
And then Malloy gets a walk.
Right.
They use an opening pitcher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. One inning. Insane. Yeah. Montero.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
did Holton?
So smart.
Holton started game 1.
Well, I don't. Honestly, it's been like.
Well, he closed today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
such a whirlwind.
Just such.
And everybody's making
a different approach.
Yeah, they're associating it to Moneyball. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it's the evolution of Moneyball. Maybe it's identifying the strength and the talent in an unconventional method to play ball. What choice
does he have? He has one starting pitcher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They signed Flaherty at the start of the year, traded him, made sense at the time.
Yeah. Picked up some fantastic.
They signed Kenta Maeda, who did not work out as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
Casey Mize has been in and out.
Yeah,
Reese Olson got injured.
Yeah.
Like, it's been, it's almost forced his hand to be an even better manager.
But even then, on that, though, he's built the confidence within the squad that he has. Right? Like, you've banded together a bunch of players and given them the faith and the belief that they can compete by doing it that way. They bought into the system. They bought into the ideology, and it's working. It's electric.
If you could just get Torkelson going. He did get a hit today.
He did. But still, that's for number 1 draft pick. He's got to have more production.
Yeah.
Right. Just like losing Mize and not having the production out of Mize. They were 2 number 1 draft picks over 3 years. Right.
The only I agree with you. I really do hate the framing of a player by their draft pick.
Yes.
Because it's not, they're the player. They didn't choose to go first in the first round.
The team didn't go first overall, and he's the best pitcher in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the player can only go and be the player. And it's the team's mistake if they took him in the first round. They should have understood the player that he was. It doesn't where their pick doesn't change who they are. And football is the same. Hockey does it too. Like any of these the sports that really have a strong value on the draft really can pigeonhole these players into positions they were never meant to be because they made a mistake.
Yeah. And part of it is the way that talent is judged and evaluated, right? And the criteria, which is universally kind of determined as the capability of a 5-tool player, you're 4-tool. When you get into the big show and you actually are fundamentally doing it in that atmosphere, you might not have those same capabilities. And that's apparent by like Casey Mize or Spencer Torkelson.
Well, in baseball, you're drafting children.
Yeah.
Like they're so 16, young when they're drafted.
So 15, 16.
Yeah.
17.
And so even by the time.
Yeah, they can draft in high school.
Yeah, they're high school
development contracts.
Yeah, they're high school kids. Yeah. Well, so a lot of the first rounders aren't, but a lot of the later rounds are high school kids.
Or in Latin America, right? Yeah. They are high school kids. They don't have a collegiate system. So they go into whatever, like Dominican League or whatever as children.
All right, local.
So let me just say, because I did have one more point on that. If you're 16 years old and you finally get to the show at 25, the game changes over 10 years. And so the player that you were as a 5-tool player when you were 16, you might still have amazing similar 5 tools that progressed the way that they should have progressed, but the tools that the baseball game itself is requiring have changed around you.
Not in the fact, if you're a mature 16-year-old, you're kicking butt against people your own age.
Yeah.
And then you grow differently, you age differently, and those around you grow and age differently. So
exactly. So locally.
And I'd be remiss to say Go Lines if I didn't say Go Lines.
Go Lines beat the Cowboys. Come on. Anyway.
So
4:00 game on Sunday, right?
4:25.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, Neighbourhood Charitable Alliance had their fall ball. It used to be an event that was held in the springtime called Spring Bling. Due to some scheduling conflicts and readjustment.
Rhyming scheme changes.
Yeah, fall ball, spring bling. So they moved it.
They didn't have a summer bummer. Anyway, no.
Winter heater.
So just some loose statistics. Since
nothing rhymes with winter.
Yeah.
Splinter. Winter splinter.
Yeah, I know.
A hint of winter.
Are we done?
Winter.
NCA, Neighbourhood Charitable Alliance, over the duration that they've been established, raised over $600,000 and supported over 150 local families. So there was some statistics and some stories that they held. I was lucky enough to attend and be a part of it and help support that organization. But there's so many local stories where there's people in need, and you don't realize that the significance of an organization that's completely voluntarily run, and all the funding that they receive goes back into the community directly. There's children's toy program. There's kids lunch programs supported through some of this funding, and also for people in need. Like, tragedy strikes, and sometimes you don't have anywhere to turn to. And that's what the NCA is there for, to help support those that need in our community. And, my hat goes off to all of the volunteers and all the organizers, because the significance that their involvement has in our town isn't something that's, top of news. It's not anything that they go around and parade and say, oh, we're the NCA, look at us, we're great. But it has such a significant impact in our community that, without it, I think we'd be a much harder place and much worse off. So,
well, and they also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that they provided a sizable donation to our MRI campaign last year after the spring event to help get the MRI built and brought back into the hospital. So that was huge, and obviously, like you said, I mean, the work that they do quietly behind the scenes to help families that we don't even realize need help is really astounding.
Yes. So they got a website, neighborhoodcharitablealliance.com, and this fall ball they just announced raised over $89,000. So one event, close to $100,000 that's going to be available to go towards community needs and whatnot. But they are available. They can be reached if in need. So anyone listening, anybody knows anyone that may need their assistance, go to the website. There's also people in the community that are a part of this organization. You can contact them personally. So
yeah.
So
I missed it.
Yeah, you were gone.
I was in London.
Yeah.
Because of the London Open Jiu-Jitsu Championship. My kids were there competing with Seng's martial arts and fitness as part of their team. They brought back 37 medals, including 11 gold and I want to say 13 silver. Just like a fantastic showing by not just the kids, the adults compete as well.
So is it like Cobra Kai when you walk in, like it's Karate Kid? Everybody's like, it's Seng's.
It gets intense.
Yeah,
it gets intense. Yeah, and it's funny. Like you start. This is like year 2 that I've been part of jiu-jitsu competition, like of that like world, and obviously like my children are fighting like small children as well because they're small children, and but you see these small children and then like their team name underneath, you get to know them.
Yeah,
right. It's like, oh, that kid's from Huron BJJ. The kid last year really thumped my son. and now it gets to be where after and Seng's does fantastic. And they've had great showings at many competitions, but now the competitors are like, oh no, it's that those Kingsville kids. Look out, or look out.
It's like Cobra Kai. Right.
We're gonna get arm barred.
Is anybody? That's a Karate Kid. reference for all those that don't know, right? There might be listeners.
No, everyone would be like, oh, why are you talking about Cobra Kai? Oh, that's a Karate Kid reference.
Right. Congratulations to all the athletes that competed. That's amazing. So, like, what happens? What happens when they get back? Do they have like a party, a celebration?
No, they
back to training.
Back to training.
Yeah, do better.
Yeah, they took a picture tonight and now they're beating each other up. Yeah. Gotta get ready for the next one. There's no taking a day off. Just like AJ Hinch says, you don't take a day off. You start strong with an opener and you keep going strong throughout that bullpen game. Boy, you don't throw them away.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
It is. That's not just your kids, not just that your kids placed, but for that entire group to have that kind of accomplishment. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Especially being a regional, I would assume. Like, how far away were people coming from?
Toronto. Yeah.
They're
it's
big city folk.
It's funny because gonna get deep into the world of jiu-jitsu for a second. So our kids get a chance to compete in the London Open. There was a new Winter Open in the spring. There's provincials, that's kind of a big one, and then there's the national championships. They actually call it the Ontario Open, but it's the one that everyone from Canada goes to. You can go to other ones, but they're all in the GTA. So if you want to go and spend every weekend going to jiu-jitsu competitions, you could. But are you going to drive to Toronto every weekend to go do it? Probably not. You're going to do the big, like what we do the big four. But those kids that train in Toronto, instead of they'll train for a couple days during the week and then they'll go to a competition on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And so my son's fought in his fifth competition. He fought a kid who has 30 wins.
Oh. Yeah.
Same age, same size.
You beat him?
It was close, actually.
Was it?
He didn't beat him.
No,
he didn't beat him, but it was close.
Next.
But that's the difference. So the fact that Sengs and the Kingsville competitors, not just the kids, the Kingsville competitors are able to go and have a showing like that, right. And the competition has the opportunity to do 2 to 3 times more competitions than what is happening locally is really amazing to see.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of local, let's get into the Migration Fest. Joining us on That Kingsville Podcast, Councillor Sheri Lowrie and Executive Director of the Jack Miner Bird Sanctuary, Matt Olewski, here to talk about the 55th Migration Festival happening next weekend in Kingsville. So thanks for coming on the show, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
So big 5-5, right? It's
a big deal.
Yeah, it's been happening for a couple of years here or there, right?
At least a few.
Yeah. Starts Thursday, October 17th, goes all the way through to Sunday, October 20th. So lots of things happening at Jack Miner, lots of things happening around town. So Sheri, tell us about Migration Fest. You're on the committee.
Yep.
You're a member of the committee. What's Migration Fest and what does it mean to Kingsville?
Yeah, I would say, 55 years. Obviously, we haven't been around for 55 years, but it's definitely a childhood.
Gary.
Oh, Gary, yes. Gary's seen them all.
What was the first one? He was a baby. Very good.
But definitely something I remember as a child. I'm sure you two do as well. So it's great to see that it's still such a tradition in town. So I think it still means a lot in a place where we can gather and celebrate the fall and, appreciate migration and have some opportunities for the community to come to all sorts of events.
So speaking of events, we got a few days, right? And multiple locations. So it starts Thursday, the 17th with which event?
So that's when our painters and our artists are going to come in and register for the Great Migration Paint Out. So this is where they'll get set up for being able to paint on plein air all weekend long. And then so that way by Sunday, they're ready to sell those paintings. So those paintings that you'll see at the Grovedale on Sunday have all been painted in this weekend.
Yeah, it's and a lot of, I don't know if you guys have ever seen some of the works. There's a lot of really cool kind of...
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, and for it to happen annually and, each artist takes a different perspective, you get a very unique piece that you can, have the opportunity to buy.
Yeah, and there's an adult competition and a kids competition too. So
age limits for the kids? Maybe up to like 12, 14, 40, 44.
Oh, no, I'm too old.
You're out. You're out.
You're in the seniors division.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of the kids were doing it a little bit in advance. So a lot of teachers at the schools were helping the kids get their paintings ready.
And there's prizes too, right?
There are prizes, yes.
So like first place is $1,000.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can make some
You can
bucks
make
here,
some,
buddy.
yeah.
Like,
This is a great opportunity for artists. So
Third place is a goose. No.
you got a few, right?
Nobody said that.
You guys should brush up on your painting, boys. Come on.
there it is.
So
I'll get one in early.
not just the main competition, but there's a quick paint competition as well. Too.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. So that's a 2-hour quick paint on Saturday. And so that one's a fun competition to really challenge an artist to be able to get something done in 2 hours.
stick figures, are they okay? I do that.
If you're entering.
Yeah.
What is the criteria?
That's a great question.
I mean, can you just show up and paint whatever you want, like a guitar or Dave? Or does it have to be a migration theme?
Yeah, so typically on plein air, they're going to be painting what they see. So when you walk by, whether downtown or near the Grovedale or at Lakeside Park or any of the many locations that the artists will be at, Jack Miner as well. So they're painting what they see. So when you walk behind them, you get to see them as they develop that painting.
So yeah, the Thursday night really kind of gets everything kind of moving, but the grandiose kickoff.
Yes.
Friday. We'll get to Jack Miner's involvement. Don't worry.
Of course.
We gotta go through the schedule. So Friday the 18th at the Grovedale, it's 6:30.
Yep. So that is the Great Migration kickoff. And that's going to feature Jody Rafool, so a local singer-songwriter. So glad to have him coming out. Doors open at 6
yeah.
for that event. And it's a $15 ticket price. But that's going towards the chili that you'll receive from the Scouts. So also a wonderful donation and way to support the Scouts as well.
Enjoy a good chili and a good Jody. Nothing better for a
And
Friday night.
a cash bar.
There's a t-shirt right there.
Okay,
Next
so
year.
is
I
that
got a cricket. I can
age
make it.
restricted then? With it being the cash bar, or is it simply as far as being able to attend?
So this is geared for our adult crowd.
Yes.
So trying to get our people out to enjoy a fun music and social night.
So yeah, Jody goes on about 6:30, as the information said. So if you're planning to attend, doors at 6, Jody at 6:30. I'm sure he's going to play a set or two.
Yep.
But yeah, that's really the official Here we go. Migration Fest.
Yes.
So a few other things happening around town.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a parade again.
There will be a parade, and it's during the day.
Yes.
So I know Kevin
One
likes
of my
those.
favorites.
One of your favorites. So the parade is going to be a little bit of a shorter route than we're used to in the past. So it is shorter than the Fantasy of Lights parade or the Christmas parade. And that mainly is also for volunteer-wise and parade costs. And so you need a lot of volunteers to close down every intersection. So we did shorten that parade just a little bit. So it'll be ending near Lions Park. And so that way then it kind of ventures into the activities that are at Lions Park. One really good thing that I want to mention with the parade, though, is we are offering a sensory opportunity. So for those that do have any sensory needs, then they can come enjoy the parade in the staging area on Waggle from 9:40 to 9:55. So we've asked all of our floats to refrain from using any of their music or their sounds or lights. So then the group of students or individuals or people can walk down that and enjoy that sensor-friendly area.
So the end of the parade route ends at the Lions Hall complex,
Yeah.
where there's a whole bunch of children's activities, right?
Correct.
So from 11 till 3 or so.
Yeah.
What's happening with that?
Yeah.
You got some dogs, you got some clowns, you got some stuff here.
Exactly. All of those things are on the list. And this is where we really collaborated with Jack Miner's as well. We want to have a presence at Jack Miner's. Jack Miner's has a presence at our events as well. So everything from Jangles the Clown and the Kingsville Express for train rides. Oh, yes, the train
Love
is
me some
in,
E-train.
Love the train.
it's
Me
in
electric
use
train.
So is it going to be going on the path?
on the path.
Oh,
Yes.
exciting.
Utilizing
Paved
the
path in
paved
a park.
path in a park. We have our Border City Barkers. And we have storytelling from, she's a really great storyteller, Monica. Mad Science will be doing demonstrations, pumpkin carving with the OPP. There's games with the Optimist Club, interactive fun with Jack Miner. The Kingsville Lions will be hosting a barbecue at that space. UMEI is going to bring their robotics to...
There's not enough hours in the day.
Right? It's going to be a very busy 11 till 3. And then one that I'm super proud of is our brand new Wild Goose Adventure Challenge. So this is something that's geared towards the youth in our community, ages 12 to 17. So utilizing the Mayor's Youth Committee, we were able to really ask them, like, what do you want to be a part of? What would you like to see done for you? And so they helped me create this. And so now they're out trying to get their friends to sign up too. So hopefully we'll have a good number of teams running around Kingsville trying to, solve some riddles and some clues and
find some geese. And
maybe a special visitor from Jack Miners will end their wild challenge.
So is it like a scavenger hunt?
Yeah, it's kind of like a scavenger hunt meets the Amazing Race and just like that Wild Goose Adventure Challenge.
Okay.
Honk, honk. There we are.
There it is.
Love it.
I didn't realize you got to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Come on, we're professional
I thought
here.
that was added in after.
No, at That Kingsville Podcast, Gary's got the magic.
He's got it right there. Oh, listen to that noise.
So we're still in town here, getting to Jack Miner. Don't you worry. Lots happening there, too.
Yeah.
Matt's being very patient.
He's being very patient because we're going to concentrate on Jack Miner as well. At the Grovedale Center on Saturday as well. You've got Migration Marketplace. This used to be in Kingsville District High School and Migration Hall for a period of time. Now we'll move of location because, we don't exactly have access to that building like we used to.
Correct. And we have this wonderful Grovedale space, so a great place to be able to utilize that with a daytime market for that. So 10 to 4. Tons of vendors. Come get that Christmas shopping done a little early. See what they have for you. So a great space to enjoy that.
And capping it off for all the in-town stuff. Mm-hmm. You're offering bike tours.
Bike tours are happening too, yeah. So there's so much happening with so many different clubs of Kingsville that want to be a part of Migration Festival.
Yeah, and one of the other major factors is where Jack Miner comes in. Yeah. Right. Jack Miner, Migratory Bird Sanctuary, been a staple in the town of Kingsville for decades. Right? And to be able to have such a unique event in town, lots happening on the premises out on Road 3. So from your perspective...
So this is where I get started.
This is where you go!
Yeah. Here we go.
All right.
When do things get started on your end of... the migration.
So, the kickoff happens on Friday. Saturday morning, 10 a.m., we open doors. We're really excited this year. We've got a partnership sponsorship partnership with the St. Clair College Alumni Association for the next 5 years. So, bit of an influx of cash flow so that we can deliver a better event for the community. Mm-hmm. We decided that some of that was going to go to hosting a local breweries, distilleries, and wineries market.
Best idea.
Out in Ty Cobb Field. So we've got
best idea.
9 hours of live music that's happening on the Saturday from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. Jason Backlig, Justin Latham, BB Fresh Breath is going to be out there. We've got 6 to 8 breweries, distilleries, wineries that are lined up, food trucks, festival tent. So there's going to be lots happening out in Ty Cobb Field. And then we have our more traditional, family friendly events. And I want to, full disclosure, the entire event is family friendly. We've opted for wristbands, no fencing so that we're not separating families. So your kids can go and do the kids' activities, and the adults can take a few minutes and enjoy an adult beverage out in Ty Cobb Field, and everybody can be merry at the same time. But in terms of kids' activities, we've got our trout pond that's happening, right? So we plug it full of about 120 trout, and kids can go at it for the stadium. We've got 18 members of the Art Society of Kingsville that are in the stadium, not just showcasing the art, but selling it. We've got 20 to 25 vendors outdoors, goods, crafts, art vendors. We've got our children's activities running out of the Learning Center. We've got retriever dog demos that are happening across the road, banding demonstrations. I mean, the list just goes on and
So
on.
you're banding geese, not humans.
Well,
From time to time.
pending a capture. Yeah.
Uh-oh, Dave, sorry. You got a little too close. Wham.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots going on that Saturday. It's going to be a long day. Lots to do for every family. And then on Sunday, if we can move in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. We've got our car show that's happening. And so we'll be lining the streets with antique cars. And at the same time, we're running our pancake breakfast out of our shop that we normally run. Suggested $5 donation. If you want to try some of the best maple syrup out there, it's, Kennedy Woods maple syrup.
All local.
You got it.
100% local all the time.
Yeah, sanctuary to table.
Hey.
So,
Oh.
yeah.
Very
So make your way out on Sunday. You know what? I missed it. I missed it on the Saturday. The Canadian Raptor Conservancy is also visiting us for Birds of Prey show. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So yeah,
See some pretty wicked birds and this action-packed. Action-packed the entire weekend. So
My son went to the Birds of Prey last migration festival or the one before, and just like hanging out with a hawk.
Yeah.
Like a hawk's just like on his arm.
They pick him up and fly away, or
No, he just chilled. Like just hold your arm like that. And
just got a hawk.
There's a hawk on your arm.
Well, I can't say that I've had the same experience, but maybe on Saturday.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
October 19th at Jack Miner Migratory Bird Sanctuary. You can too.
Ta-da.
The trout pond. I'm very intrigued. So is it bring your own rod?
We've had a few kids do that. We provide the rod. We provide the bait.
Okay.
So we aerate the water for a couple of days, and leftover trout. If you've got a pallet for it, let me know, because we're always looking for people to offload trout to at the end of the weekend.
Do love a good trout.
Yeah, well, you would be up on the Trent Severn.
Some good trout up there.
Trout
Be good trout at the sanctuary.
That's trout good. So the whole town immersed in Migration Festival, which is great, right? We're not just siloing it in one location. There's plenty to do, plenty of things.
Yeah.
The funds that get raised, how does this help support? What does it go towards? What are we supporting for this event?
So none of our events raise money necessarily. So like the painting is going back to the artists. The Friday night kickoff is going back to the Scouts. So this is actually an event that we want our community to come out and enjoy. And this is something that their tax dollars goes to support. So we definitely encourage you to come out and enjoy. And then obviously donations are welcome at Jack Miners.
No doubt.
We would love to see support there.
It's never been a money-making venture for us. It's been a tick box for serving our community, giving back to it. To be honest, we won't make any money. So donations go to offset the costs of Migration Fest, and there are a lot of costs associated with it, as you can imagine. We are volunteer driven. Jack Miner is a registered charity, so any extra funds, if that were, if I could imagine that would ever happen, would go back into the operational costs at the sanctuary. We serve the community in every way to provide, free access to a natural setting, a historic setting. And it goes to our 5 kilometers of trails that people enjoy in Kennedy Woods. It goes to free programs and free opportunities for our community engage with the sanctuary and the history of this area.
Well, and not that Jack Miner needs exposure. Everyone kind of knows it's there, but I think
we'll take it.
Well, and honestly, I think
Can I speak about that?
Well, it's a time to remind people.
If I've got somebody who's coming through the door who's over the age of 40, it doesn't take too many words to dig into, them visiting the sanctuary at some point in time in their childhood life, and anybody under the age of 40, it didn't happen. At some point in time, the sanctuary kind of fell out of relevancy in the classroom. Field trips stopped coming, So we're having to do a lot of work to educate younger generations about the significance, the conservation history of the sanctuary and the role that it played, in pioneering conservation. So, no, we need all the spotlight and the help that we can get to I guess reimagine that historical narrative.
And this is the signature event for Jack Miner.
I would say so, and we're happy to collaborate with the town of Kingsville to deliver it. Yeah, it's our biggest. National Wildlife Week is another one that we put a lot of resources and effort into. A lot of people don't know that National Wildlife Week was sort of initiated as a commemorative event honoring Jack's legacy.
It's his birthday.
You've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've been trying to, pool our resources and push our resources into that as much as we do Migration Fest.
Well, it was a good segue because how long have you been in the role now of executive director?
Not very long,
okay.
Only 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah. I was previously the director of education there. I kind of slowly worked my way up to the position.
So obviously you're building on a very strong legacy, but what do you see as maybe changes or the direction you want to take the foundation and the sanctuary in to kind of touch on, the relevancy after you just said yourself, it kind of dipped a little bit.
Well, it just so happens that I am an educator.
Perfect.
I've got about 12 years in private education.
Okay.
I spent 10 years in the classroom before I ended up here at the sanctuary. So, really focusing on that educational component of what we do has been really important to me since I started. The learning center that we have, I envisioned that, and with a budget of $0, we opened it up in fall of 2022, and it's served over 6,000 kids. We've got K through 12 curriculum programming. Now the teachers have a place that ticks all of the curriculum boxes for them, and it makes it really easy on an administrative side of things to justify going back to the sanctuary because they can make those connections. So yeah, that educational component, incredibly important. And I see us being more and more relevant in terms of, being a leader in regional outdoor education. And also, when it comes to banding, I don't know if you saw it in the news, but we're GPS banding now. So we're bringing Jack Miner's legacy pushing it into the 21st century, and we're becoming more scientifically relevant again. And so, to be recognized as contributing to the academic world in terms of data collection and, dissemination of that analysis is, really important for us.
Is there, do you have there's no researchers on staff or yet?
Not yet.
Say.
Yeah. No, we are building partnerships with many researchers at the University of Windsor whose focus is in biology, ecology, bird study. And so I think, give it some time and you're going to hear a lot about how that partnership will grow and move in that direction.
Speaking of partnerships, now we're in the midst of the Tigers playoff
amazing historical playoff run.
I'm not a Tigers fan, but it's kind of bandwagoning me a little bit. I watched a lot of the game today, and I wouldn't normally, but the Jack Miner has a very specific and interesting link to the Tigers. So first, because it's funny you say that people under 40 don't really understand about Jack Miner. I assume that everyone would know the story of Jack and Ty. So can we talk a little bit about why there is that relationship with the Tigers?
Yeah, sure. Jack, before he became the world-renowned conservationist, was a world-renowned hunter, and often featured in outdoors and sportsman magazines. As he was transitioning to his Wild Goose Jack persona, those magazines would highlight that hunting legacy while he, was developing this new reputation for himself as being a goose farmer. And apparently one day, Ty Cobb was reading one of those sportsman magazines and realized just how close, Jack lived to Detroit, and jumped in his car and headed down to Kingsville and sort of cold knocked on his door. Now, the story goes, Manly Miner, the eldest son of Jack, was somewhere upstairs in his bedroom, and you can imagine, newspaper clippings pinned up against his walls of all of the baseball giants, and Ty Cobb being one of them, runs downstairs and opens the door and drops to his knees, and it's Ty Cobb. Jack's away on tour. Jack, when he passed away in 1944, had 4,000 speaking engagements. Over a decade of tours that were booked. He was often on the road, and it just so happened that night he was on the road. And so, you can imagine he was invited in, meatloaf, everyone was merry. And the next day, Ty Cobb invited Manly Miner out to, what stadium would that be?
The Tigers?
1920s.
No, it'd be old 20s. That'd be...
Oh, I can't remember what the name of the field was back then.
There you go. Trivia night.
That's
okay, but you do that. But invited Manly Miner to warm him up on the pitcher's mound. And that spawned a long relationship between the Cobb family and the Miner family. He would return to the sanctuary, and you got it? Tell us.
Naven Field.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Manly would get booted out of his bedroom, and Ty Cobb would be upstairs in the Miner house, and all the farm boys would hear mutterings that Ty Cobb was in the area, and they'd go down. And Kingsville's first baseball diamond was located in Ty Cobb Field, partially, as a legacy to that relationship, but also because, baseball pushes people outdoors. And as far as Jack was concerned, anything that encourages people to be outdoors was worth an investment. And Ty Cobb would wake up to the sound of bats cracking and farm kids playing pickup ball, and he wouldn't have time to grab a cup of coffee on the way out. He'd be playing with them. So, they go up to the hunter's cabin, and Jack would teach him how to hunt moose and bear and everything that you can imagine. And there was correspondence well beyond the death of Jack between Manly and Ty Cobb and the Cobb family.
And then Manly actually was close to signing a professional contract.
So not Manly, but Jasper.
Oh, right.
Jasper, the youngest son. Yeah, he was actually was set to be rostered with the Tigers for a season. Now, the story had always been... Do we have time for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's our show. We can do whatever we want.
I like that answer.
Until Gary kicks us out.
There we go. So the story was always that that Jasper got homesick, while he was on the road and returned home. Recently, I had a 92-year-old visitor return to the sanctuary after years and years, and apparently his father, was the bricklayer for the museum, formerly the stable, and actually created the crypt that Jack rests in. And he knew Jasper very well. And he asked me the same question. He said, why is it that Jasper didn't play for the Tigers? And I told him what I thought. And he says, he says, when he was rostered, there was a, you guys would know better than I would, but Boston, Chicago, New York, Detroit circuit. Mm-hmm. And it was a weekend thing. And apparently there was a double header on Sunday. And Jack looked at Jasper in the eye and said, "You're going to work on the Sabbath?" Mm-hmm. And so that was it. It was, it was that clash of, wow. Religious values and his passion for baseball. And he ended up back at the sanctuary and, followed in his father's footsteps and contributed to the legacy of the Miner family.
Have now, and I don't know if short in the role. So I don't know if you can answer this. There was a bit of a falling out. We won't touch on that because I really think that that's more of a family issue than it is a Jack Miner.
That is another episode.
Yeah. Has there been any work to try and mend the bridges there since that happened 10 years ago or so?
So we have a member of the Miner family sitting on the board now, Mark Steffes. Yeah. Yes. In short, yes. We have been working to mend those bridges. It was, from what I know, a really challenging time for the sanctuary, And
I should point out, because I really don't want to get into like the Miner family dynamics, because that's family, that's family stuff. But has there been any work with the Tigers to try and mend some of the fences there?
We have plans to reach out to the Tigers, we want to make sure that it's done with purpose and with intention. So to date, the short answer is no, but stay tuned.
Separate. Will we see baseball on Ty Cobb Field anytime soon?
Ellipses.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay.
I was just wondering if we can, to circle back to the festival, we've talked about everything that's going on, but I think we need to put more of that human element. I mean, we sort of grew up with it, like you said, and I'm going to pose the question here as far as either as a child or a teen or a parent, like some of your personal highlights from it, just to kind of, highlight what it means to the community as a whole.
Well, personally, there was always the significance about Jack Miner, right? It was the way to celebrate what we have as our uniqueness within the country, right? We know, because we grew up here or lived here for a very long time, what Jack Miner's significance was to conservation, that his tiger connections, just his overall impact on our society at that point in time. So for me, it was always, the parade and watching everybody kind of, gather in early fall and leaves are starting to change. And it's kind of that tipping point between, hey, seasonally, here we go, time to kind of collect and celebrate and whatnot. So now that's me personally.
I think I like the generational aspect of sort of watching the parade and being in the parade as a kid, and then you see your kids in the parade, and it sort of takes you back. But you're right, it does sort of that unofficial change of season, if you will.
Yeah.
There's always a bit of magic seems like an overused term, but there's an element there that sort of, it has that, and I probably part of it's just the fall crisp air, but sort of real Kingsville unique. That's it. It's Kingsville's. It's ours. It's only ours. There's nothing like it.
We used to have Victorian days, right?
I was going to say that too. Like those are the two festivals, spring and fall. Yeah. And then like being able to go back to that history and like knowing why that meant something. And I think it touches on what Matt said, is like making sure that we're always letting that next generation know, like, why is migration important? Why is Kingsville important for it? And so like to celebrate the season and then be engaged with these things that make you happy and just bring joy to your weekend.
Yeah, I think the festival is a medium to crack open those discussions, right? And for a father to have a moment to teach a son, a daughter, what this is all about, right? Because the older generations have that knowledge, but you need to create opportunities for those discussions to be sparked.
So there's a feature of the property that only recently has kind of been revitalized. That's Kennedy Woods, right? As a child growing up, didn't realize Kennedy Woods was there for hiking or walking, right? It wasn't familiar. However, over the last decade or so, the significance and the importance of what that walking path and those trails are is phenomenal. It's a hidden gem. But quite frankly, this time of year when the seasons are changing and we have all the fall color change, it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you get to see some of the artifacts of over the years of what the property had. And there's some What nest was there? Was there an eagle's nest?
Yep.
Still is.
Yeah. We'll just go say hi to Mr. Eagle or Mrs. Eagle, whoever. The Eagles, right? Not the ones that say, not Hotel California, no. Joe Walsh. Joe.
So the trails for us really highlighted how COVID could be a blessing.
Right.
You know, it pushed people outdoors. And we saw a full parking lot down in that area almost on a daily basis, you know, and the funny thing is as people shot out of COVID and things normalized, the attention that 5 kilometers of trails hasn't subsided, not at all. I mean, there is the blessing of COVID. It pushed us outdoors. It forced us to stop, take a breath of fresh air, and appreciate something that we don't normally take the time to appreciate. And to me as an educator, that is step one in teaching somebody the importance of our connection to nature.
As a young kid in the early 80s, I remember us driving to Jack Miner and parking on the south side of Road 3 and watching just the massive amounts of these geese and the sounds, and when the flocks would take off and the big V's in the air and they'd go out to the lake for feeding or whatever. But it is such a unique, significant natural occurrence that we have, and now is featured by a shouldering property that has such other significance to it. It's like, hey, which one's really the true beauty of that property? And then we're not even talking about the north side of Road 3 where all the facilities
take 2 steps back. It's the beauty of Kingsville.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's everybody's. And we take great pride in that.
Who are the Kennedys?
Oh, John and Robert and
a local family, to my knowledge, who bequested that land to us.
Okay. Yeah. So on that, what other things are happening around the sanctuary, outside of Migration Fest? What other continued developments, evolution of the property are we having?
Goodness. There's a lot that I can't talk about.
It's in the works.
There are projects in the works. No, honestly, there are projects in the works, and there has been funding secured, and I have very strict confidentiality restrictions that I can't really speak too much about them. I can tell you broadly what I envision for the sanctuary. I envision the sanctuary to be a place that provides accommodations in the future, that you can stay at the sanctuary. And while staying at the sanctuary, you can truly experience the banding side of things. You can wake up at the crack of dawn and we can sneak you back to the capture net and you can assist us with duck and goose banding. We see that in the future. We see a strong emphasis on creating programs that are around banding. There's such a strong interest. Our, fanboys down in Kentucky and Louisiana, they're salivating at the lips for an opportunity to come to the sanctuary, not just to observe, but, to get their hands and their feet muddy in our cricks, and in our capture nets. They want to experience banding birds. So
on that, just really quickly, why does the sanctuary band birds? For those that don't know.
So the banding of birds, there's a lot of data that we collect from that, but we, better understanding of migratory patterns, population fluctuations. It informs the government when it comes to hunting restrictions, and harvest limits.
So how far away has a Jack Miner band been hunted or found?
Excellent question. There have been a few that have been recovered on the West Coast. And there's very little else that pushes them in those directions. Actually, a Canada goose will not stray 1 degree east or west in their migration path. So it has to be a storm, a natural occurrence that physically pushes them off course. So you can imagine maybe, one of these Arctic, what do they call them?
Polar vortex.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a quick shifts, something like that physically pushes them off course. Yeah. We've had band recoveries as far north as the Baffin Islands, as far south as Florida, Central and America, northern parts of South America.
Crazy. So yeah, lots happening. Fantastic, opportunity for everybody to kind of revisit, acclimate themselves with the sanctuary and enjoy a lot of fantastic things for the 55th Kingsville Migration Festival. www.migrationfestival.ca. That's where all the information can be available if you want to register for the paint out. Or just see the list of all the events and occurrences and times.
And reminder, Lions Park, not Lakeside Park.
Correct.
Yes, Lions
Park.
Yes, Lions Park, Grovedale, Carnegie Center, and Jack Minor Bird Sanctuary. There we are. So thanks, Sheri. Thanks, Matt, for coming out and
Thanks for
joining us on That Kingsville Podcast.
Oh, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you.